What's up? Steve Rose again, and I'm going to be talking about something that, well, basically is pretty important to me. And again, this is going to be teaching me for me. So if you don't like spiritual stuff, you don't have to watch it, but this is just a dive into the way I think. And here's one way that I think that really means, well, I'll explain it, and then you could think of it however you want it. You could think I'm an idiot, I'm completely fine with that. But again, this is just to teach me for down the road. Here's the way I view human beings. Human beings are a body. They're a literal body, right? I have an arm. It's a body. It's managed by their brain. My brain tells my arm to go up and down like this. I'm doing this. My brain told me to do that. The human brain is influenced by the human soul. Now, what's the human soul? The human soul is something that you make decisions off of based off of emotion. It's something that you make based off of love, based off of what's right and wrong. It's the morality. It's the fill in the blank. It's that thing that trumps knowledge. The human brain and the logic tells me 2 plus 2 equals 4. The human brain tells me I probably shouldn't talk to that girl because she's really hot and she's above my league. However, the human soul says, I don't care, she's really hot. I have to talk to her, right? It trumps logic completely. You'll do a lot of stupid things for the human soul because you'll let emotion trump logic. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's really, really stupid. But at the same time, we can't really argue with it. 99.999% of the time, the human soul is going to trump any logic we have, especially when it has to do with morality. Morality is in the human soul. That's why the Bible talks so much about God knows the heart. God judges the heart. The Quran. I read some of that. I haven't read the whole thing. I do plan on doing that. It talks a lot about that too, and the Torah, and there's just different holy books. It talks about the heart, and in essence, it's talking about the soul. And here's the other thing: the spirit. The spirit influences the soul. The human spirit is one of those powerful things there is because it literally is who you are. It's literally the life force of you. It's literally the essence of everything you are, the core of everything. It's an unchangeable, I don't want to say it's unchangeable, but it's a force that's within you that is constant. It's something that never sleeps. It never fades. Some people call it the subconscious. It's just the banner and the essence of everything you are, the makeup of everything. And when you see a human spirit just unrelentless, just unbelievable, not unrelentless, but relentless, it amazes you. Have you ever heard, there's a Vietnam story about a North Vietnamese guy just passionate about the fight, and obviously he was an enemy compared to the Americans, but he literally had his guts blown out. He had his intestines blown out. He put it in a jar, and he fought for 3 more days, and he lived. And the human spirit can endure so much. If your spirit's in line with everything about where you're going, if where you're going is in line with your spirit, I should say, there's literally nothing that can stop you. You've heard the story about the mom. She sees her son getting crushed underneath a car that flipped, and all of a sudden she has this adrenaline rush, and she just everything is in line with the right way. Everything's in line with I have to rescue my child. She doesn't care about the circumstances. She doesn't care about the scenario. She doesn't care about her circumstances. She doesn't care about her human body. She goes up. She has such an adrenaline rush. She gets more oxygen into her muscles. She gets superhuman strength for a second. She lifts it up, and she lifts the car up, and the kid climbs out. Unbelievable stuff like that happens when the human spirit is involved. Here's the problem: most people kind of let those things run wild and free anyway. And it's a hard thing to change the human spirit. Those are pretty intense situations that align everything. Everything had to align. I mean, one person had their guts blown out to have everything align. One person had their child getting crushed to death to have everything align. That's what sucks, is it takes shaping. When you're in the world of business and things like that, things the only thing that separates me and a very, very successful person is the way we think and and eventually that turns into who we are, right? I mentioned that in the last video, I think. For me to change my spirit and the essence of who I am and everything, the banner of my life being all about this, it's going to take decision after 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 decision. 3, 4, 5, 6 years of it. Here's what sucks about that. If I want to get really good at something, and anybody that's an athlete or has ever tried to do anything good, there's an integrity gap. And I've learned this from a business mentor of mine. There's who you want to be. So you make decisions like him, you try to study like him, you try to do everything, and you try to almost copycat who he is, right? Because you want the same results that he has. You want to have the same thing that they want. You want to be just like LeBron. You want to be just like MJ. So you do exactly what they do. The only problem is when you do it, it doesn't work. But when they do it, it works for some reason. Why? Well, because this is who you are. Who you really are and who you want to be, there's an integrity gap there. And we all know when you try to be somebody you're not, it's mechanical. It doesn't work. It's faulty. It's just doesn't feel right. It feels uncomfortable. It feels terrible. People just think you're a goofball when you're, especially people in sales. This is where people really get beat up because nobody's a natural salesman usually. But sales is just happens to be where you make the most money for sure, by far. But people just they grind through it. They feel dirty and they feel bad because they know it's just not who they are, and they're unwilling to change. They don't realize that they can change. There's literally a response between there's a moment of response in everything. There's that initial happening. There's a moment in time, and then there's a reaction to it. Again, it's going to take a lot of pressure. It's going to take a lot of intensity. It's going to take a lot of shaping to change the essence of who we are. And some people just are going to simply refuse to be a winner. And I'm not saying that they're failures in life. I'm not saying that they're bad people. But they're just not going to have the same results MJ and LeBron will. Because MJ and LeBron were willing to sacrifice more than we'll ever know sometimes. We just never hear about it. We just look up to them. They practiced so much, they did so much work that it literally became part of who they are. Winning, becoming the absolute best, became the standard for them in everything they did. It does, and then when you make absolute best your standard, just having fun isn't good enough anymore. Winning is the fun part. It's not doing it for the enjoyment anymore. So some people say, well, that's why they like college ball versus pro ball because they do it for the love of it and blah 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 blah. I disagree. I think that the reason that they separate so much is for the love of it. You know, when you take the fun out of it, then you really got to love something because you're willing to do it day in, day out without, whether it's fun or not, you're going to do it no matter what. That takes love. And it's going to take a passion like that, a driving passion to influence the human spirit. The human spirit is the most powerful thing we have, right? It's what causes us to have superhuman strength to lift cars. It's what causes us to fight for 3 days with our intestines blowing out. That doesn't change just with a little, oh, I want to change now. You have to make a conscious decision every day to do something to willingly change yourself. And I'm talking 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. What eventually happens is we make a decision, we fail. We fall to our integrity gap. It feels awkward, it feels weird, it feels dirty. People thinking, who are you, you bozo? You know, this is weird. Is this a scam? No, I'm just very not confident and I'm very uncomfortable doing what I'm doing. Well, you keep on trying, you keep on failing, keep on failing, keep on failing. All these downward arrows are failures. But you raise your spirit up a little bit. You raise your spirit up a little bit. You're 2, you're 3, you're 4, you're 5, you're 6, you're 7. And eventually that integrity gap starts to go away and who you want to be becomes part of really who you are. And so in essence, that's what it's all about. It's the bottom line is how do you change your human spirit? Every day make a conscious decision to change it. And it's going to hurt. It's going to test your self-image. It's going to test who you are. You're going to cry. You're going to hurt a lot. You're going to have a lot of lonely times because people are going to be like, who are you anymore? Who are you anymore? You're getting lost in here. It's going to hurt. But you know what? They're never going to experience the joy and the success that you're going to have either. So keep at it. Keep at it. Keep at it. People aren't going to understand because they're simply not willing to change. How do you change? You change your spirit. How do you change your spirit? You make a conscious decision every day to keep on changing your spirit because it's going to take an intensity to change it. But once you do, and that thing that you want to, so that you dream about becomes part of who you are, it feels like you can walk on water. So you got this, Stephen.